on, Diesel family? Welcome back to Young Diesel Trucking Reacts. I'm your host, and today we're diving into something that's about to shake the trucking world to its core. If you're a driver, owner, operator, or just someone who understands how this industry keeps America moving, you need to hear this. Before we get into this bombshell that dropped over the weekend, smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell because what I'm about to tell you is going to change everything for truckers across America. Guys, I've been in this industry long enough to see policy changes come and go, but what happened on Saturday, July 12th, 2025, isn't just another policy change. This is a freight earthquake that's going to reshape how we do business. And I'm not being dramatic here. President Trump just announced 30% tariffs on all goods coming from the European Union and Mexico, effective August 1st. Let me repeat that, 30% tariffs on everything from two of our biggest trading partners, and it goes into effect in just 2 weeks. Now, some of you might be thinking, so what? How does this affect me behind the wheel? Well, buckle up, because I'm about to show you how this single announcement is going to ripple through every aspect of our industry like a tsunami hitting a coastal town. First, let's talk numbers that'll make your head spin. The EU and Mexico combined account for roughly 1/3 of all US imports. That's not just some random statistic. That's millions of loads, thousands of trucks, and billions of dollars in freight that moves through our ports, across our borders, and down our highways every single month. Think about your typical week. How many of you have hauled auto parts from Mexico, electronics from Germany, machinery from Italy, food products crossing the border? All of that freight is about to become 30% more expensive overnight. And when imports become more expensive, companies don't just eat those costs. They reduce volume, find alternatives, or pass it on to consumers. Here's where it gets really interesting for us drivers. Trump didn't just announce these tariffs. He did it through separate letters posted on Truth Social, and here's the kicker. He threatened even higher tariffs if either country retaliates. We're talking about a potential trade war that could escalate beyond 30%. The European Commission president already fired back, warning that these tariffs would disrupt essential transatlantic supply chains to the detriment of businesses, consumers, and patients on both sides of the Atlantic. When politicians start using words like disrupt and detriment, you know we're in for a rough ride. But let's get real about what this means for the guy behind the wheel. If you're running Mexico loads, and I know a lot of you are, you're about to see some serious changes. Cross-border freight is going to slow down. Companies are going to reduce their import volumes. Those regular runs you've been counting on, they might not be there anymore. I've been talking to owner-operators who specialize in cross-border freight, and the panic is real. One guy told me he's already seeing shippers cancel orders scheduled for early August. They're not waiting to see what happens. They're pulling back now. And it's not just Mexico freight. Think about all those containers coming into Long Beach, New York, Savannah, loaded with European goods. When those imports drop by 30, 40, maybe even 50%, what do you think happens to the trucks that normally haul those containers inland? Those drivers are going to be looking for work, and they're going to be competing for the same domestic freight you're already fighting for. Here's something that's keeping me up at night, and it should concern all of you too: the timing. August 1st is right in the middle of peak shipping season. This is when retailers are stocking up for back to school and early holiday inventory. Disrupting that flow isn't just bad for importers, it's catastrophic for the entire supply chain. Port congestion is going to be insane, not because of volume, but because of confusion. Customs brokers are scrambling to understand the new rules. Shippers are trying to fast-track shipments before August 1st. And after August 1st, expect delays, inspections, and paperwork nightmares that'll make the COVID port crisis look like a minor inconvenience. Let me paint you a picture of what August 2nd might look like. You roll up to the Port of Long Beach for a pickup. The container you're supposed to haul, It's been sitting there for 3 days because the shipper can't afford the 30% tariff and they're trying to renegotiate with their customer. The customer says, no deal. Now that container goes back on a ship and you're deadheading home with no load. But here's where it gets worse. The ripple effects. Companies that can't afford the tariffs are going to look for alternatives. Maybe they'll try to source from domestic suppliers. Sounds good for American manufacturing, right? But ramping up domestic production takes time, months, maybe even years. In the meantime, there's a supply shortage, prices go up, and consumer demand drops. When consumer demand drops, retailers order less. When retailers order less, there's less freight to move. When there's less freight to move, rates drop because drivers are fighting for fewer loads. It's basic economics, but the human cost is real. Drivers going home empty, owner-operators struggling to make truck payments, and families wondering if they can stay in this business. Now, I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm also not going to sugarcoat what's coming. This industry has survived recessions, pandemics, and regulation changes before. We're resilient, but we're also smart enough to see a storm coming and prepare for it. So what can you do? First, diversify your freight sources. If you've been running the same lanes for years, especially cross-border or import-heavy routes, it's time to expand your network. Start building relationships with brokers who handle domestic freight. Look into agricultural hauling, construction materials, anything that doesn't depend on imports. Second, if you're an owner-operator, now might be the time to consider team driving or lease purchase opportunities with larger carriers. When freight gets scarce, having the backing of a big company with diverse contracts can keep you moving when independent operators are sitting. Third, watch your expenses like a hawk. We might be looking at a period where profit margins get squeezed. Every dollar you save on fuel maintenance or unnecessary expenses is a dollar that keeps you in business when rates drop. Here's something else to consider, and this might sound a little crazy, but there could be opportunities in this chaos. Smart operators who can adapt quickly might find niches that others miss. Maybe there's increased demand for domestic manufacturing transport. Maybe short-haul intermodal becomes more attractive than long-haul import freight. The key is staying informed and staying flexible. This tariff announcement isn't happening in a vacuum. It's part of a broader trade strategy that could evolve rapidly. Trump's already threatened higher tariffs if there's retaliation. What happens if Mexico or the European Union respond with their own tariffs on United States exports? Suddenly, American manufacturers who depend on export markets are in trouble too. I've been following Trump's trade policies since his first term, and one thing I've learned is that he uses tariffs as negotiation tools. These might not be permanent, but they also might get worse before they get better. The uncertainty itself is almost as damaging as the tariffs themselves. Companies hate uncertainty. They'll delay investments, reduce inventory, and postpone expansion plans until they know what the rules are. For truckers, that means reduced freight volume even beyond the direct impact of the tariffs. Let me share something personal with you. I started this channel because I believe in the trucking industry. I believe in the drivers who keep America moving. But I also believe in being honest about the challenges we face. This tariff announcement is a big challenge, maybe the biggest we've seen in years. But here's what I know about truckers. We adapt. We find ways to keep rolling when everyone else is standing still. We've survived fuel crises, hours of service changes, electronic logs, and a global pandemic. We'll survive this too. The question isn't whether we'll survive, it's how quickly we can adapt to the new reality. The drivers who start preparing now, who diversify their options and stay flexible, are going to be the ones who thrive when the dust settles. This is bigger than just policy changes. This is about the fundamental restructuring of American trade relationships. And whether you're a company driver or an owner-operator, whether you run local or long haul, this is going to affect you. So here's what I want you to do. First, share this video with every driver you know. They need to understand what's coming. Second, start having conversations with your dispatcher, your broker, your customers about how this might affect your regular freight. Third, keep watching this channel because I'm going to be following this story closely and bringing you updates as they happen. The trucking industry is about to face a stress test unlike anything we've seen in years. But if there's one thing I know about this community, it's that we don't back down from challenges. We face them head on and we keep America moving no matter what. What do you think about these tariffs? Are you already seeing changes in your freight? Drop a comment below and let me know how this is affecting your operation. And remember, we're all in this together. The Diesel family looks out for each other, and that's more important now than ever. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates on this developing story. Until next time, keep the shiny side up and the rubber side down. This is Young Diesel Trucking Reacts, and I'll see you in the next one.